Meet the wealthiest Norwegians in 2021. Who are Norway's wealthiest people in 2021? Discover the top 10 Norwegian billionaires thanks to the latest Rich list published by a Norwegian business magazine. It's that time of the year again. Each year, Norwegian business magazine Capital publishes its annual list of the 400 wealthiest people in Norway. The list does not consider income, but the value of total assets held. This year's report shows that all of Norway's 400 richest people are billionaires in Norwegian kroner. In fact, the magazine calculated that there are 407 Norwegians worth more than 1 billion kroner. Never before have we experienced such wealth in Norway, said Capital editor Vibeke Holth. Compiling Norway's rich list for 30 years, the Norwegian business magazine Capital has published an annual list of the 400 wealthiest people in Norway. Norway's Richest 400 is based on the tax return data published by the Norwegian tax authorities each year. Capital researchers then adjust those figures based on share price movements and other public information available so far in 2021. This means, of course, that the figures are estimates. The pandemic made the job more difficult for the second consecutive year, but they are confident in the results. Supermarket wealth increases during the pandemic. Many of Norway's biggest businesses and wealthiest people have taken a financial hit during the pandemic. The grocery sector was one of the big exceptions. Odd Ryden of Rema 1000 fame and Norgesgruppen's Johan Johansson place third and fourth on the list with assets of 51 billion Norwegian kroner and 50.5 billion respectively. Both men have watched their wealth increase by 6.5 billion Norwegian kroner since last year. Now, let's take a look at the top 10 in more detail. Number 10. Torstein Hagen, the founder, chairman and CEO of Viking Cruises, had watched 40 billion Norwegian kroner get wiped off the value of his assets from 2019 to 2020. It was the biggest drop ever recorded by Capital in a single year. His fortunes improved over the last 12 months though, as his wealth recovered to 30 billion Norwegian kroner. This means Hagen retains his place in the top 10. Founded in 1997 with just 4 ships, the Viking Cruises fleet has grown to 82 vessels. However, the health crisis forced the company, known for its river cruises and ocean cruises, to suspend operations for much of 2020. Number 9. Stein Erik Hagen. Businessman and investor Stein Erik Hagen is worth an estimated 33 billion Norwegian kroner. He is a major shareholder of the Orkla Group, which has interests in branded consumer goods, aluminium solutions, and financial investment sectors. Hagen also holds an interest in retailers Steen and Strom, Jernia, and Komplett. Number 8. Kjell Inge Rok. As the main owner of Aker ASA, Kjell Inge Rok is worth around 36.6 billion Norwegian kroner, up from 27.5 billion last year. Rok launched his business career with the purchase of a 69-foot trawler in the USA in 1982, and gradually built a leading worldwide fisheries business. Today, Aker ASA is one of Norway's biggest companies, engaged in offshore fishing, construction and engineering. Rok is known for his philanthropy and has previously announced he will give away the lion's share of his vast fortune to good causes. Number 7. Ivar Erik Tollefsen. Real estate investor Tollefsen is worth an estimated 38.5 billion Norwegian kroner, up from 29 billion in 2020. The 59-year-old began his entrepreneurial journey by renting out DJ equipment and services. Number 6. Johan H. Andresen. In 6th place on the list with an estimated wealth of 45 billion Norwegian kroner is Johan Henrik Andresen. Since 1998, Andresen has been the owner of the Ferd Investment Group, one of the largest privately held companies in Norway. Ferd is an investment company with holdings in companies within industry and finance as well as a real estate portfolio. It seems to have withstood the pandemic well so far, as Andresen's personal wealth increased in each of the last 2 years. Number 5. Gustav Witzøe. Who knew there is so much money in salmon? The Witzøe family certainly do. Witzøe is founder and executive vice president of one of the world's largest salmon farmers, SalMar. Founded in 1991, SalMar processes hundreds of thousands of tons of salmon each year. Seafood exports are one of Norway's biggest industries. Witzøe saw his wealth jump from 33.5 billion Norwegian kroner to 45.6 billion in the last 12 months, enough to lift him one place in the rankings to number 5. Much of his fortune is to be inherited by his son, Gustav Magnus Witzøe. In addition to a future controlling interest in Salmar, the 27-year-old already invests in technology startups and real estate, and has worked as a model. He has a big social media following. Number 4. Johan Johansson, the founder of Rema 1000's main rivals Norgesgruppen, which includes the brands Kiwi, Meny, Spar and Joker, is worth almost as much as Ryten. His total estimated assets come to 50.5 billion Norwegian kroner. Despite owning around 70% of Norgesgruppen, Johansson keeps a relatively low public profile. Number 3. Odd Ryten. Chances are you'd expect many of the top 10 to be involved in shipping or the energy industries. However, those in positions 3 and 4 are both in the supermarket trade. With a total wealth of approximately 51 billion Norwegian kroner, Odd Ryten comes in second. He's the founder of well-known supermarket chain Rema 1000. The chain began in Trondheim and now covers the entire country, as well as several other countries in Northern Europe. Ryten was also the man behind the expensive overhaul of the Britannia Hotel in Trondheim. Number 2. Ole Andreas Halvorsen. Fredrikstad-born Ole Andreas Halvorsen jumps from 4th to 2nd place in the rankings. His wealth rose from 43 billion Norwegian kroner to 56 billion over the last year. The CEO and co-founder of the Connecticut-based hedge fund, Viking Global Investors, remains a Norwegian citizen but lives in America. Halvorsen worked in the investment banking division of Morgan Stanley, after finishing his studies, and moved into a senior position with Tiger Management Corporate before co-founding Viking Global Investors, which manages in excess of $30 billion of capital. Number 1. John Fredriksson. The Oslo-born Cypriot national who lives in London tops the list, and comfortably so. Shipping magnate John Fredriksson is worth more than double his nearest rival. His wealth has also recovered from the 2020 dip, returning now to 2019 levels. From what we can see, this makes John Fredriksson the richest Norwegian ever, said Capital's Vibeke Holth. During the Iran-Iraq wars in the 1980s, his was one of the few oil shipping companies who continued to work in the region, despite its risks. The gamble paid off, and his oil tanker fleet is now the world's largest. His inclusion on the list remains curious given that he renounced his Norwegian citizenship because it offered his family better tax arrangements, according to several media reports. Norwegian citizens are taxed on their wealth in addition to their income. Elsewhere on the list aside from the top 10, the big story from this year's Capital 400 is the number of technology entrepreneurs jumping straight into the chart. 35 people were new to the Capital 400 list. Holth said this was a paradigm shift in wealth creation. The highest-placed woman in the rankings is at number 31. Shipping heir Else Helene Sundt is worth around 8.7 billion Norwegian kroner thanks to savvy investments. Her investment success saw her leapfrog last year's richest woman, real estate investor Ruth Katharina Mastad Bivrang.